Hello, everybody, and welcome to your favorite show. Tonight is a very special night. We're talking Rasslin and Racin and Wrestling Corner back to back. That's right, back to back, as we are going to go over Rasslin and Racin, of course, NASCAR, and this past Sunday we had the AEW Dynasty card. We didn't go over last week, unfortunately, but there's so much going on. And then right after that, we're going to Wrestling Corner. That's right. Me and Ref Brandon are going to Wrestling Corner to give our WrestleMania predictions. So, folks, we're going to jump right into it. We want to thank our sponsors. It's Arden's Burger and Grill in Central South Carolina, Beef and Rib in Westminster, South Carolina, Upstate Physical Therapy in Anderson, and, of course, Pepsi Cola. We want to thank you. Greenville Sports Media, the home of Rasslin and Racin, and of course Dorsey Auto Sales in Anderson, our main sponsor. If you need a car, go to Dorsey Auto Sales on Whitehall Road in Anderson. All right, well, let's get him in here. Ref Brandon, let's go.
All right, I'm ready when you are.
All right, let's go straight to NASCAR, which was in Bristol yesterday. Ref, tell us what happened.
Well, Ty Gibbs, so his first couple of years he struggled, and everybody thought, hey, it's too early for this kid to be in the Cup Series, but this year he's had quite a few top fives already, so I think he's finally ready for the big time. He got his first career win yesterday, holding off Ryan Blaney and Kyle Larson. And Blaney and Larson both had 4 fresh tires, and Ty was still able to hold them off. Then we had the points leader, Tyler Reddick, 4th, Chase Briscoe, 5th. And then we had Todd Gilliland, Joey Logano, that's your man, Ryan Preece, Denny Hamlin, and Carson Hocevar rounding out the top 10. It was the Food City 500 from Bristol. And this Sunday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, they're at Kansas with the Advent Health 400. And one thing I've always wondered, Jay, thinking about that race yesterday, is people always talk about, Bristol is such an awesome racetrack. But I've always wondered, if Bristol is such an awesome racetrack, why is it that people only go to the night race? Because the daytime race is the same racetrack, same amount of laps, same racing. The only thing that changes is daylight. So I don't think it's the fact people love Bristol. They love the Bristol night race. And I'm not sure what the difference is, because the racing doesn't change, but they always struggle to get attendance for the daytime race. And nighttime race is a sellout almost every year. It has been for years.
It has to do with several things. I've actually been to both. The night race, for some odd reason, you would not believe this is true, is always louder. The second thing is the sparks coming off the cars as they hit, just kind of gives it a little flair. And then it's just, people can get off at night a lot. I don't understand it. It's a Saturday thing, because usually the night race is on a Saturday instead of a Sunday day race. So that's the 3 things that usually happens, is a Saturday night race. So people can go to it instead of try to miss church and not go to it. And then, of course, the sparks. And then for some odd reason, it's always louder. People can party all day, and then the race is at night.
Yeah, and it's only Bristol's that way because, Richmond, which is also a short track, they have a night race, and their attendance ain't that good. But for some reason, Bristol always has been.
Well, you're also right there at the corner, between Tennessee, North Carolina, and Virginia. So, you're right there where, you got 3 different states, and you're close enough to Charlotte. So, you got the hub. But anything else, Ref, that we needed to know about that came out of this week?
No, not from the NASCAR world, at least not this week.
I agree with you. All right, folks, well, let's get straight to it. Brought to you by Dorsey Auto Sales. We're bringing you the AEW Dynasty card. That's right, Dynasty was this weekend, and it was in Canada, so you would think that all the Canadian wrestlers were going to have a great weekend. Guess what? They got destroyed, and I was so pissed off because Christian and Adam Copeland and Christian should have won the titles, but they didn't. Chris Jericho didn't even win his return to pay-per-view for AEW. So, folks, let's go straight to it. Ref, I'm going to go off on this right here, and you give me your thoughts, your grading. The first match we're going to talk about is Alex Windsor, who defeated Marina Shafir. What was your thoughts on this match?
Oh, it was average, nothing spectacular, but I mean, it wasn't terrible, just a basic match.
Yeah, I think Alex Windsor showed a lot. Maria Shafir is actually getting a lot better in the ring, unlike her friend Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, I think Ronda Rousey loves her some Ronda Rousey, so I don't think she's ever going to get better because she thinks she's God's gift to everything she does.
Yep. And then we get the return of someone who destroyed Ref Brandon's favorite girl in AEW. That's right. Willow Nightingale got destroyed because the returning Camille came back, and she took on somebody called Big Ann. Never seen her. I think she's ROH. And got the win. What was your thoughts on Camille?
Well, Camille is, the way she looks, she's not quite as big as China, but she's close. And she is, she's so big compared to the average size woman as far as muscle-wise, that when she's around, she needs to be the dominant force because she's so much bigger than all the rest of the girls almost everywhere she goes. So I have no problem with, Camille doing that, but it should have been somebody besides Willow Nightingale.
I was wondering because it just seemed a little weird that they'd have Willow Nightingale as the supposed person who attacked Camille and took her out, because at the time Willow was a good girl. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So it just seems kind of odd. I don't know where the storyline's going to go, but we'll find out. All right, the next match we want to talk about is for the AEW National title. Jungle Jack Perry versus Mark Davis. Jack Perry gets the win in this match.
It was another good match. I think, AEW has so many, pay-per-views, and even, some of their TV shows, they build like pay-per-views that you're not going to have an A-plus match at every single pay-per-view because there's just too many of them.
Yeah.
But, none of the matches are ever terrible, but this is not one of their bigger pay-per-views, so I don't think anybody should have gone in there thinking it was going to be a bunch of, 5-star matches all night long.
That's true. And, of course, folks, the first 4 matches we're going to talk about were all on 0 Hour, which was free to everybody. So the next one we want to go to is Divine Dominion defeats Maya World in the AEW Women's Tag Team title.
Yeah, that's a lot of words right there, Jay.
Yeah, I know. I was sitting there going, okay, here we go.
Yeah,
I ain't going to say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, me either. But it was another good match. Not great, but not terrible.
I say the first 4 matches all got a B.
Yeah.
And, but folks, it got better as the night went on, other than one match. All right, we go to the Young Bucks defeating Okada and Tateshka. And I'm almost afraid to ask you your thoughts on this one, but go ahead.
Well, any match the Young Bucks are in is never going to get a 5-star for me. But, the good thing about that match was you had Takeshita in it, so you can't have a bad match with Takeshita in it, but you can't have a good match with the Young Bucks in it, so you're kind of stuck in the middle.
I actually gave this match an A. I think it all came out pretty well. I'm not a big fan of the Young Bucks either, but at the same time, I think this match, these 4 worked well together. I think it was funny when Okada put on the Young Bucks jacket to get tagged in. That was pretty funny. But it had a lot of comedy in this match, and also a lot of, it's like they're trying their best to build up Okada versus Tateshka at All In. Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I think they are. I think, they've got plenty enough time to do it, but those guys aren't comedy-type wrestlers, so they should just let them go out there and wrestle and not try to be comedians.
I agree with you. All right, the next match we want to talk about is the match that I had talked about. I thought this was a foregone conclusion. Ricochet versus Chris Jericho, and Ricochet got the win, Ref Brandon. What was your thoughts on that?
You talked earlier about all the Canadians, looking bad for a Canadian show, and that's the one thing about wrestling. It used to be, especially in WWE, every time they were the wrestler's hometown, that wrestler always won. So it got to where you always expected that. And then when the hometown guy starts losing, fans get mad that the hometown guy is losing. But, so no matter where you go, when the hometown guy wins, they complain because he wins. And when he loses, they complain because he loses. But there's so many wrestlers now from all over the world that just about anywhere you go now, there's going to be somebody on the card that's from that area. But I really didn't expect Jericho to win in his debut, re-debut, I guess you'd call it, because it looks to me like they're trying to bring back the list and make him a comedic wrestler again. So I was fine with it.
Now, and here's something that has been brought up, and I don't know, Ref, if you've looked, I've been researching this. There was a lot about Jericho joining the WWE and kind of going through the phases. If you remember when Jericho first entered WWE, he came out and said nothing. What did Jericho do when he came out recently? First, coming off of a year away, said nothing. The next thing was the list. So now we've went through the list. Now we're curious to see if Jericho brings out that lit up jacket. I think there's something to this. I think this is some kind of homage to the WWE's talk about bringing him back and how people wanted to see it returned. It seems kind of fishy, if you know what I'm talking about, Riff.
Yeah, the only thing I read about the whole Jericho thing was that the only reason he didn't go back was because they wanted a retirement tour, and he just is not ready to retire. So he decided to go back to AEW only because he don't want to retire yet. But you figure at 55 years old, he can't have much left in the tank. But he didn't want to retire yet, so he went back to AEW.
Well, let's go to our next match. Darby Allin defeats Andrade El Idolo. I got this one wrong too. I mean, I thought it was Andrade for sure, and Darby Allin wins, and in turn, on on Dynamite this coming Wednesday, gets a shot at MJF in the world title. This seems like something that we were talking about months ago when he came back after climbing Everest, because we thought he was going to get the push, and they went a different route. Now, Ref, what do you think?
Yeah, it seems like he's finally getting it. And I'm not a Darby Allin hater, but the only thing about Darby is he's so tiny. And so it's kind of like when Rey Mysterio was world champion. Somebody that small, it's just hard to make it believable because he's so itty bitty. He can't help it. He's 120 pounds soaking wet. But, he's a good wrestler. He's just so little. But it does look like they're finally giving him that push he should have got, a year or so ago. But, he's extremely popular.
Yep. And this will be in his hometown, too, in Washington, too. So it's going to be kind of neat. For what I understand, it's like 20 miles from his wrestling school. I didn't even know he had a wrestling school. But I know he's been training Sting's sons. That's about the only thing I did know. All right. Let's go to the next one. FTR defeats Cope and Christian for the AEW Tag Team titles. Your thoughts, Ref?
Well, I was hoping, even though I'm a huge FTR fan, they're a phenomenal tag team. I was hoping that they would, let Cope and Christian Cage, have the titles for a good little while, but I guess that's not going to happen.
I think it's going to happen at All In now. I think it's all leading to All In. I think it's going to be a fatal four-way between them, the Young Bucks, FTR, and a tag team to be named at that time, which could be Okada. Will be Okada and Tateshka. I think it's going to probably be the Conglomerates or the Dogs or someone like that. Your thoughts?
I'd be okay with that, but Edge and Christian, or Cage and Cope, whatever you want to call them, they're 52, so they can't have long left either. So I would like to see them get those tag team belts and keep them for a good little while before they have to hang it up for good.
And Ref, before we go any further, folks, I want to address this. This is something that's been all over social media, and the TNA owner decided to pull talent from a show, I think it's called Create Pro Wrestling. And of course, this created a big mess because it was supposed to be a TNA star versus an AEW. There was actually 3 matches where TNA went up against AEW. And the fans apparently create these matches, from what I understand. MJF was supposed to be taking on one of the guys from TNA. There was a tag team from TNA that was supposed to be taking on an AEW/ROH team. And then there was a ladies match that was supposed to be here. And basically they yanked them all out. And AEW came out and said, listen, well, I should say several people from AEW, MJF being the main one, saying you want to create competition. You want to make wrestlers better, especially the younger talent, and giving them a shot against the guys that are doing it for a while. And you're not paying them worth anything. And this is a way for them to earn spots at other places, and you yank them just because you're afraid of competitive. Who's going to win? What's your thoughts on this? Because, I mean, you being an independent ref, you see this sometimes, I'm sure, where out of nowhere, a guy that's supposed to be there from one of the big boys gets yanked because he's taking on somebody that's from a rival promotion.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because I did see, something about that, but I wasn't even thinking about it. But, Grace and I, my beautiful, lovely wife, talked about it a couple of years ago because, WWE started, working with AAA and started working with, TNA, and AEW started working with, New Japan and Ring of Honor. And I thought, I would love to see WWE and AEW work together, not for a long period of time, but do a pay-per-view together, maybe do 2 or 3 together. And I told Grace, I said, but it's never going to happen because you're going to have 2 companies and both of them want to be number one. So both of them aren't going to be willing to make their guys lose. So you're going to have a bunch of matches with no winner, which is not going to work. But I never have understood, and after being a ref for almost 19 years, I still don't understand why people get so upset about losing a wrestling match. You still get paid. By being champion don't mean diddly squat. It's a bunch of grown men out there pretending to be fighting. Who cares who wins and loses? I've never understood it and never will. But yet you see it on professional ranks and you see it on independent ranks. And so many guys just don't want to lose. And I have never understood it. But I could see WWE, think for a second, if they had Seth Rollins go against John Moxley. Who's going to win that match? Neither one of them is going to want to lose, especially the guys that have left one company and gone to the other one. You're not going to want to lose because you're going to feel like you're, hurting yourself because you lost to a guy in the company that you used to be in. It wouldn't work, but I'd love to see it because they could put on some great matches with the talent, but it would never happen.
Well, you could do something like where they both get disqualified and stuff like that, Riff. You don't have to have one lose. You could have them both get disqualified, both count it out. I mean, there's ways. Pro wrestling has shown there's ways to do that.
Right. Can you imagine the backlash? You have a pay-per-view and you make folks pay $55-$60 for it, and every single match is no contest?
Well, no. I'm not talking about like if we got a WWE versus AEW. I'm talking about these independent shows.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, because the biggest thing that MJF brought up was a lot of these guys that were in these shows don't make extra money. They're on a pay per talent type basis. They're not really getting paid by TNA to do anything. And, it's not fair to them when they can make a paycheck, but now they can't because, it's because MJF's on the card and we know he's going to win. And MJF said, you know what? How do you know I was going to win? My thing is I was going there to help a younger talent, just like when someone helped me when I was younger that was a proven star. And he mentioned who it was. And the thing was, he was like, Samoa Joe put me over. He didn't have to. I didn't win, but he put me over. I remember Ric Flair doing that all the time. Ric Flair made Rocky King look like a freaking world champion. that was his job. He'd go into territories and make someone that had no business being in the ring with Ric Flair and make them look like they were the world champ.
Yeah, you used to do that all the time. You'd go back and watch wrestling from the 80s and 90s, and you would see all kind of guys, traveling the world, going to all promotions, and losing all the time, and nobody cared. But nowadays, everybody wants to worry about themselves and make themselves look good and piss on everybody else. And I don't know why it's turned out to be that way, but it's gotten that way, big time. And I see it now because there's a guy that I work for on occasion, and every time he runs a show, he brings in a bunch of, big-time talent, big-time guys, and people always assume, well, that guy was going to win because he's been here, there, and everywhere, and the guy goes out and loses. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm not going to look back on somebody's career and say, well, his career sucked because he lost to so-and-so in front of a crowd of 500 people at so-and-so show. Who cares?
Exactly. Hey, Ronnie Garvin. I remember the Ronnie Garvin shoot interview, and he said everybody was so worried about, the world title. He said, as far as I'm concerned, it was just a piece of metal. He said, he said, everybody wears a belt in their pants. He said, why do I worry about a belt around my waist when he said, I can go to Family Dollar and pay $8 for a belt if I really want a belt.
That's why I tell everybody, especially these new guys that come along now that worry about winning belts all the time. I say, look, if you need a belt to get over, you ain't doing your job.
Nope.
Because some of the best wrestlers of all time never won a world championship. And you look at Gunther right now, Gunther's more hated now than he was when he was world champion, and he ain't nowhere close to winning a belt. But he's more hated now than he was then, and he's not no champion. If you need to be a champion, to be popular or be hated, you ain't doing your job right.
That's right. All right, well, we went off of the rails a little bit, but we had to go. I just had to get your thoughts on that, considering what you do for a living. All right, let's go to the next match. The Kevin Knight wins the AEW Casino Gauntlet match. What was your thoughts on this one, Ref? It was actually a great match.
Yeah, and I tell you, and it wasn't. Kevin Knight's actually came a long way. I remember when he first started, I was like, here we go. It's going to be this, this high-flying flip-flop guy that's going to get popular because he can flip-flop. He's going to be gone out of the picture in a couple of years, but he's actually proved me wrong. That kid's really good.
And we see another one just like him in the WWE.
Yeah, we do. And speaking of Javon Evans, I read an article, I think over the weekend, where he said when he does a lot of his dives, he messes up on purpose to make it seem more authentic because we're all human. We all make mistakes. And I thought, dude, you got some nerve because you mess that up on purpose and land on your neck, you're going to break your neck.
Yep, that's true. All right, let's go to our last three. Thekla versus Jamie Hayter. Thekla gets the win over Hayter. I kind of felt like this was going to happen, and that was for the AEW Women's World Title.
Yeah, Thekla is really, 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 really good, and I'm kind of starting to feel like they had a chance with Jamie Hayter and missed the boat on her.
Well, her injury put her out for a while, and I think she just hasn't gained that momentum again since when she was battling her former group that's no longer with the company. All right, second to last match, Jon Moxley took on Will Ospreay and defeated Will Ospreay and stays AEW Continental title. What was your thoughts on this one?
Well, Jon Moxley's kind of like the Young Bucks. He can never be in a match, and the match be a 5-star match as long as he's in it. But I was hoping Ospreay would win, but I kind of didn't think he would because, he just had that supposedly severe injury. And what if he gets the belt and comes back out and gets hurt again next week? So I kind of feel like they're going to make sure that he's 100% before he wins the belt. So I kind of figured Moxley would win the match.
All right. Next one, the Conglomeration versus the Dogs. And I think the only thing that a lot of people was wondering who was the person was going to be, but then we all kind of figured it out. It was going to be Riley is back, and he was the only Canadian that won that night.
Yeah.
So we get to our final match, Ref. MJF versus Kenny Omega. And MJF gets the win. I thought for sure this was Omega's chance to get the title back.
Well, see, I don't, because I think, not to say he'll never win another world title, but I think Kenny Omega's kind of got to the part of his career now he's worried about making other guys look good and not worry about himself. So I kind of figured it'd be an MJF win.
And that's a good thing. If that's really the point, then he did a great job to MJF in this match.
Yeah, he did. Kenny Omega's really a phenomenal wrestler. He really is.
All right, ref. Now we get to the grading system. We're not going to go per match. Give me your grade on this pay-per-view as a whole. Now, that takes away from the 4 matches, which is a 0 hour. We do not count those as a part of the pay-per-view because that's not what people paid for. You got to see that for free. So basically, you was watching Dynamite / Collision. So, ref, starting from the Young Bucks all the way to MJF, Kenny Omega, give me your grade for this pay-per-view.
I'd say B+.
B+. All right. I gave it an A-. So we're right there together, yeah. A percentage point. And I tell you, AEW, when it comes to pay-per-views, does a great job. We say that every time we go over their pay-per-views. Now, sometimes we don't agree when it comes to their TV. They've gotten better this year, for sure. They've gotten a lot better since about mid last year. They've gotten better. It's actually since All In last year, they've gotten better on their TV production. But other huge news, Mercedes Moné will be coming back pretty soon. Ref Brandon's favorite girl.
Yeah, I did see she's coming back, and also saw that they expect Zoe Stark back in the next month or so on the WWE side because, she's been out since last May with that severe knee injury. And say she's back, before long. And then I saw that apparently, maybe you know more than I do, but apparently Ricochet must have tweeted out something, I don't know, and it said he got in all kind of trouble, and Tony Khan told him that wasn't, and then no way acceptable. I don't know what he said or what he didn't say.
Yeah, it had to do with he called a couple fans or a fan something about MS, multiple sclerosis, and that got him in trouble. This has actually been several months back, and they're still giving him heck. I mean, they took the title away from him, and he's not been on TV as much as he used to. That's why another reason why I was kind of surprised that they let him win the match versus Jericho. But he went through some heck, and he came out and, I don't know, his apology didn't seem as genuine as a lot of people thought it should have been. And so that's the deal with him. Also, we want to say that there is a lot of talk about Britt Baker returning to AEW. She has got basically a rolling contract, which means all the days that she's missed because of injury goes on to the end of her contract. So, folks, she's not going to be a free agent at the end of this year. She's got another year and a half to go. So, Tony Khan's going to make sure he pulls that trigger. He's not going to let WWE or TNA or whoever get her right now. But from what I understand, she has healed. And also I heard that your other lady that's over in the WWE with the finger injury, Bianca Belair, should be back pretty soon, maybe even at WrestleMania.
And then the 2 last things I saw was that there's still a chance that the Bella Twins match will happen, but they've got to be replaced because I think Nikki's the one that's injured and they're still not sure she's going to make it back. And I saw that Alberto Del Rio got arrested again. And I thought, you know what? He used to be so good, but it seems like ever since he dated Paige, he has went off the rails. So his wrestling pretty good.
Well, his career actually was gone before Paige, but that just it seemed to get magnified once he was with Paige because of her getting hit with the allegations. Well, it wasn't allegations. There was actually video of her doing things that she shouldn't have been doing. So it's been crazy for Del Rio, but you put yourself in those holes, ref.
Yeah, you do.
All right, folks. Well, get ready. We will be cutting off here and getting ready for our show over on the Wrestling Corner with Howie Fresh. And we'll be doing our WrestleMania predictions. Ref Brandon and me will be doing it. I got my WrestleMania 27 shirt on that I got, my jersey. Was in Atlanta for that one when Cena and The Miz took on each other. The Rock was the host. It was a great time. Triple H versus The Undertaker. Great memories from that. And looking forward to it coming back to Atlanta, for what I understand is a possibility in the next 4 years. So we'll see how that goes. I know if it does, me and Ref Brandon will be at WrestleMania in Atlanta if it does. Am I correct on that, Ref?
I hope so.
Hopefully, Ref will be working it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I can see the boss now. You ain't doing it without me.
Yeah, I know.
All righty. Well, folks, we appreciate you joining us here on Rasslin and Racin, brought to you by Dorsey Auto Sales in Anderson, South Carolina, Ardensburg and Grill in Central South Carolina, the Beef and Rib in Westminster, South Carolina. Hopefully, we'll be getting back down there for that. And then also, we want to thank Upstate Physical Therapy, Pepsi Cola, and all of our sponsors. And, of course, Greenville Sports Media, who host and is the owners of Rasslin and Racin. Folks, get ready. Wrestling Corner will be on the Real Fresh channel. You can see it there. And we'll also have it at the very top of Greenville Sports Media. Tomorrow, when it is posted, it will be on greenvillesportsmedia.com. Our WrestleMania predictions, and of course, Rasslin and Racin will be on the page too, down towards the bottom. You will find both of them on there tomorrow. Thanks for joining us.